Hey, Heather.
Oh my gosh, hi.
Hi. Oh my gosh, you look cute.
It's a double standard. Like, if you had called Lisa's mortal enemy, you'd be in the pool right now.
Everybody says they wish that you were here.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, the Brooke Ashley, and today we are here to discuss The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, Season 5, Episode 8. And before we get into it, let me start off by saying SLC is on a winning streak. They are 8 for 8. We have not had a bad episode yet. And this episode really showed me how long Bronwyn and Todd's money really is. I said, come through. And Miss Bronwyn, I have to give you the MVP award already because the way you flawlessly packed Lisa right on up. I said, come through. And Miss Lisa, I'm going to be whacking you several times because you tried it. I invite you on a vacation that I'm paying for, $20,000 a night, and you have the audacity to call up my op on the phone while we're on said vacation that we're paying for? Absolutely not. You are out of line, and I hate how you can never own up to what you do. It's always somebody else's fault. It's never your fault. You're never wrong. And I'm glad that Bronwyn got you all the way together. But all in all, another flawless episode. And while I was sad that we didn't see Mary, I'm not gonna hold you. I forgot about her at one point. That's how good this episode was. But guys, without further ado, let's just jump right on into it because you guys already know that we don't have a minute to spare. So we open up this episode with Lisa and Meredith meeting up at the spa. They're getting massages, and Lisa lets it be known that Heather's going to be joining them afterwards because Heather called her up earlier, telling her all about how things went south when she went over to Bronwyn's house. So Lisa's like, well, Heather, come over. Me and Meredith are at the spa, but we want to see you, and I want to hear all about the drama. So Lisa and Meredith are done with their massages, and now they're sitting on the balcony drinking some coffee, and Meredith is telling Lisa all about her bat mitzvah, how she told her mom wants to come, and she's excited. Now, I'm not going to hold you guys, but I completely forgot all about Meredith and the bat mitzvah storyline. And it's no shade, but I feel like Meredith's storyline so far, it hasn't been strong enough. And now we see Heather arrive, and like I keep saying, Heather is just so happy to be there. It really reeks of the nerd finally being in the presence of the cool girls. Like, oh my gosh, they invited me and I'm accepted now. It just really seeps out of her pores that she is dying to be in the inner circle. So Meredith says to Heather that they were just talking about her bat mitzvah and she's excited. And Heather's like, oh my gosh, that's so awesome. But let's make sure that I'm invited because I would hate to be left out. And Meredith says, obviously you're invited. I wouldn't bring it up if you weren't. So Heather is relieved to hear that. And then she says, well, that's what happened just now between me and Bronwyn. So Lisa jumps in and she wants to know the tea. She's like, wait, what's going on between you and Bronwyn? So Heather, let me just whack you right now. Because Miss Mamas, the way you tried it, you should feel ashamed of yourself to sit up there and lie. The way Heather twisted this story up, she's talking about, well, I was invited over to Bronwyn's house earlier this morning, and when I went there, I just thought that she was going to move forward with me and want to make amends. And I said, girl, are you serious right now? That's what Bronwyn did. Bronwyn apologized to you. You were the one who rejected her apology, and you were sitting up there smug, talking to her crazy in her own home. So now Heather says that all Bronwyn did was tell her what a shitty person she was. I said, hold on. Heather, are you insane? That's not what happened whatsoever. You sat up there saying that she was a shitty person. You were talking about, oh, I'm so exhausted. I can't believe you. You're just such a saint. You think that you're so great. You were really nasty to that woman. Bronwyn was literally pleading with you to accept her apology, even though Bronwyn should not have apologized to you because she did nothing wrong. All she did was call you out in Milwaukee about how you're the one who's two-faced and you like to twist stories up. You're the one who owes her an apology for trying to throw her under the bus. But the fact that Bronwyn was trying to be the bigger person and you want to sit up here and lie? And was anybody else getting irritated watching Lisa and Meredith buy what Heather is trying to sell them. I said, you guys are this gullible? You actually believe Heather? And Lisa, you're Bronwyn's friend. For you to take Heather's word at face value is alarming. So Lisa's like, but I don't understand. She doesn't even know you. So how can she determine what kind of person you are? So Heather's still playing victim. She's sitting up there saying that she doesn't know and how Bronwyn told her all about the couples trip and how she was waiting to determine if she wants to invite Heather or not. So Heather continues on with her lies and says that Bronwyn was manipulating her, and then she got tired of it, so she grabbed her stuff and left. So let me say this, if you're a longtime subscriber, you know that I'm always discussing jealousy and envy on these shows. And some folks think that I'm too dramatic about it, but 9 times out of 10, I feel like I'm correct. Heather has a clear case of jealousy towards Bronwyn, and that's why she can't stand her. Because for her to sit up here, twist her mouth up like that, and lie, that is alarming. The bottom line is Heather is threatened by Bronwyn. She's upset that Bronwyn is gelling with this cast quickly and easily. She's jealous of the fact that Lisa and Bronwyn were friends because in Heather's pea brain, friendship with Lisa is the ultimate reward. So she's not trying to see anybody else get close with Lisa because she wants that #1 spot as Lisa's best friend. And it's never going to happen. Not in this lifetime or the next, Heather. So I don't know why you keep holding on to hope that one day you and Lisa are going to ride off into the sunset together, because at best, you'll be maybe a 3rd-tier friend. And let's also talk about how you let being the fan favorite for several seasons gas your head up, because you're showing your ass. And the same viewers who built you up will be the same viewers who tear you down. Because I've seen quite a few Heather Gay stans say that they can't stand you this season. So if I were you, sis, I'd stop being jealous and I'd get with the winning team. Because Bronwyn is it. And what really got me was all throughout this conversation, you have Heather trying to put a wedge in between Lisa and Bronwyn's friendship. Because you have Heather asking Lisa, well, what do you think about your friendship? How do you view it? And now Lisa's like, well, you know, I was a bit upset because the other day when she called to invite me on the couples trip, I didn't like the tone in which she asked me about, will John be okay seeing Justin and Whitney? It's like, my husband is the CEO of a company. He'll be just fine. He knows how to conduct himself. And now Lisa continues on by saying that she was really frustrated because it seems like Bronwyn was putting the blame on her and John and not Justin and Whitney. So now you have Heather asking Meredith, how does she feel about the trip? And I said, Heather, if you don't shut up, girl, get over it. You weren't invited because of your poor behavior. But Meredith says that she feels confused because last year she was accused of starting all these rumors. And then she brings up that she's not that excited to see Angie, Kay, and Sean because a few weeks ago, Sean went on some podcast talking about Brooks. And I think Sean said something to the effect of Meredith is using her son Brooks as a pawn to deflect from her wrongdoing, and she's hurt about that. She says, leave my son out of this. And I watched the after show, and Angie K spoke on this whole mess, and she said, well, that's not really accurate. Meredith did a TikTok with Brooks where they were throwing out subs against me and Sean. So when Sean said that statement, he was responding to their TikTok where they were throwing shade. And just like I've told Teresa and Gia over on Jersey, Gia likes to insert herself in the mess, and then when somebody claps back, then it's, well, that's my kid, leave her out of it. No. If your kid is over the age of 18 and they want to step their foot in the ring, then if somebody says something back to them, they can't get mad. You can't have it both ways. Again, I like Meredith, but I'm going to always be fair. So now you have Heather being sarcastic and she says, oh, what a great time for you all to be on a private plane together. I said, again, girl, green is not your color. You are so sore that you are not going on this trip. It is eating you up inside. And it's your own fault. Had you just been gracious and apologized and took ownership of what you've done wrong, you too would also be on the private plane. But now since you're not going, now you want to throw out all this shade? Girl, stop. So now we jump on over to Bronwyn. She's getting ready for the trip. And before she starts packing, she gets on FaceTime with Todd. So remember, Todd is on a business trip. He's in Korea. So she's like, hey, how's Korea? What's going on? Are you excited to come back for the trip? And Todd's like, yeah, I can't wait. It should be fun. So Bronwyn's giving him the update that Mary can't come because Mary is going to be spending that weekend with her son. And now Bronwyn shares that Heather will not be attending because they were unable to work things out earlier that morning. So Bronwyn says, I'm just hoping that this trip goes well. Todd's not here for it. He says, look, I already told you, I don't want any drama with these people, so it better be a good time. I said, well, damn. One thing about it, you can tell that Todd does not take any mess. And we're going to talk about it later on, but the way Todd had me gagging at the end, I said, well, come through, sir. Let us know. Oh, and let me say one more thing. I still stand by what I said regarding the dynamic between Todd and Bronwyn. They do remind me a lot of Erica Jane and Tom Girardi on Beverly Hills. I don't see that chemistry. Maybe I just really notice things like that because I'm super affectionate and I couldn't be with anybody, regardless of age, who was dry like that. Like, I need to be touched. I need to hear that you want me and you, like, you know, I need to hear that. Like, I need to hear, like, hi, beautiful and all that stuff. Like, I need that. I don't want you talking to me like we're co-workers or that's just, no. But hey, to each their own. If Bronwyn likes it, then I love it. And I guess he makes up for it in other ways. Like when we saw later on, when it was time for them to look at that jewelry for her, I said, okay, I guess a little less affection and more jewelry. But me personally, I'm just somebody who believes that you can have it all. So yeah, you can have the money and the jewelry and the affection, all right? So let me not go off on a tangent about that, but Todd had me screaming, he is not here for the BS. So now we jump over to Angie K at home, and her and Sean are packing for the trip. So Sean's asking her if she's excited, if everything is cool between her and Lisa. And Angie says, look, things between me and Lisa are weird right now. Our friendship still has not recovered. And I'm just realizing that I've let her get away with being mean to me sometimes. So Sean says, honestly, honey, you've let Lisa get away with a lot. Now, when it comes to Lisa versus Angie, I think it's sad that Lisa is going to allow Heather to come in between them. Lisa, if you want to know what Angie actually said, then just call Angie up. So now we see Whitney and Justin packing for the trip, and Whitney's asking Justin about how are things going to be between him and John. And Justin says, well, honestly, I think it should be okay. But at the lunch, John did express that he wants me to apologize to Lisa. So Whitney's like, no, sir, no, ma'am. She's the one who owes you an apology. And we already know that in the next episode, the four of them get into it again. So needless to say, there is no apology coming from Justin's end. So now we see Lisa and John packing for the trip. And of course, John's asking Lisa if she's excited. Lisa's like, yeah, I mean, I guess, but things are still weird between me and Angie, and now me and Whitney, so I don't know. So she goes on to ask, how was the lunch that John had with Justin the other day? And John says it was cool, but when I expressed that you want an apology from him, he pretty much said that he's going to think about that. He's not on board, and I can't force him. So Lisa is really annoyed hearing that. And I said, now, Lisa, I want you to come to terms with the fact that you might never get that apology that you're waiting on. And at the end of the day, you had no business walking over to him in the first place. I understand you being angry at Whitney for lying on you, but when you involve the husbands and go up to somebody else's husband, that's when you cross the line. So in this case, I don't feel like Justin owes you an apology. The only person who owes you an apology is Whitney for lying on you, because I don't believe for a minute that you were trying to sabotage her business. So Lisa says, well, despite all that, I still think that we're going to have a great time, and I'm so happy that my sister Denise is going to watch Henry. So now John's asking how was lunch the other day with Denise, and Lisa shares that it got a bit emotional. So now she goes on to say that sometimes she worries about if she's a good enough mom for Henry, and how, as confident as she is, the one area where she's not as confident in is her being a good mom. So Lisa starts crying and says that it really hurts a million times more when a friend critiques you on your parenting and how that's the meanest thing that anybody could say about her. Once again, Lisa, you need to call up Angie and ask her what exactly was said. Because the fact that you are taking Heather's word is alarming. And you know how Heather is. Heather is obsessed with you. So you don't think that Heather would try to plant seeds of discord between you and Angie or you and whoever else because she wants them out the way? She views your other friends as competition. So again, I'm just not really here for all these tears when you could call up Angie yourself and ask her, hey girl, Heather told me this, is that true? What did you say about me and my kid? And also for all my parents out there, may I just ask you, if somebody did shade you on your parenting, would you really be this upset? Because I feel like if you know that you're a great parent, and your kids love you and you have a great relationship with them, does it really matter what somebody else says or thinks? Let me know. So now it's the day of the trip and everybody's at the private plane hangar. We see them getting on the private jet, and Bronwyn and Todd, y'all did that because that private plane was everything. Now I caught the pettiness and the shade when Lisa arrived, because she's like, Bronwyn, where's everybody sitting? Because she's not trying to sit next to certain people because she's on the outs with Angie and Whitney. And I understand that. Who wants to be on a private plane sitting next to folks that they hate? So they touch down in Palm Springs and they're in separate cars. So in the first car, it's Bronwyn, Whitney, and Angie K with their husbands. And in the second car, it's Lisa, Meredith, and their husbands. So in Meredith and Lisa's car, Seth is messy. He brings up the drama that happened at Angie and Sean's anniversary party. So he's like, I heard that an altercation almost went down. What happened? So John's explaining what happened, how Lisa went up to Justin, and how the husbands made a pact to always stay out of the drama. And I said, yes, we understand that, but Lisa was out of line for going up to Justin. Period. So now Lisa jumps in and she says, it was really awkward for me to be on the plane with them because when Justin and Whitney got on the plane, I stuck my middle finger up at the both of them. And I said, now really, girl? Had Whitney and Justin cursed you out for doing that, there would have been a whole big thing on the plane. Sometimes it's better to leave well enough alone. You don't always have to provoke somebody. If you don't like somebody, stay over there and let them stay on their side. But to stick your middle finger up on them on a plane, that was real immature. I'm sorry, Lisa. So now we cut back to the first car with Bronwyn, Whitney, and Angie, and Bronwyn's sharing how things were a bit awkward and how she was a bit upset when she was talking to Lisa and Meredith about her issue with Heather on the plane. So we see the flashback, and pretty much Lisa and Meredith are both Team Heather. They're not trying to hear her side of things. So Bronwyn says that she's incredibly hurt by the conversation that she had with them, and then she wants to know if they're on Heather's side, then why the F are they on this trip? I said, exactly, because if I'm paying for this 5-star vacation, you better be on my side. I'll be damned if you're sitting up there on my enemy's side, but then you still think that you're about to get a free vacation out of me? No, ma'am. So they pull up to the house, and this vacation rental was fab. Y'all did that. Stunning. And it's $20,000 a night. I said, exactly. But everybody's blown away by the house, and then you have Lisa saying, the best part about this house is that it has 2 separate wings, so I don't have to be anywhere near Whitney. So all the couples are trying to pick a room, and there is a bit of anxiety and nerves and tension because Whitney and Justin and Angie and Sean are not trying to be anywhere near Lisa and John or Meredith and Seth. So it's a bit awkward, but they get through it. So now Bronwyn's talking to Whitney and Angie, and she says that she's noticing the bad vibes from Lisa, and she's getting more and more annoyed because she's gone above and beyond for Lisa with this trip. And we even see Whitney point out the awkwardness. She says that it feels super divided. But Whitney, are you surprised? When it comes to you and Lisa, you brought this trouble on yourself by accusing Lisa of trying to sabotage your jewelry line. Now this home is massive, right? So we see Lisa, Meredith, Seth, and John outside. They're having some drinks, they're just talking, And Lisa's talking about their travel plans, and she tells Meredith and Seth that they should join them in Europe. So she says, we're gonna be in Italy, but I don't wanna be in Italy for that long because I don't like the food there. I feel like the food is too fresh. So the way my jaw was on the floor, Meredith is looking at her like, girl, what? Even Meredith says, now Lisa, I love you, but you sound crazy. So even Lisa's husband, John, is like, wait, what? Did you just say that the food is too fresh? And I said, Lisa, some thoughts need to stay up here. And let me just say this. I've been to Italy, Rome, Florence, and Venice. Stunning. I would live there. Gorgeous. I have never eaten so well. That food is top tier. The pizza, the pasta, stop playing with me. You sound ignorant and foolish to twist your mouth up and say that the food in Italy is too fresh and you don't like it. Girl, what? And Lisa, you can have all the material items and still be lowbrow. Because for you to be so well traveled and for you to be so well off, some of the things that come out of your mouth are surprising. And you're the definition of, yes, you have all the materials, but your mindset is not elevated. Being rich is more than just money. It's more than just 5-star hotels and luxury cars and beautiful homes. There's also a class aspect too, like etiquette, fine dining skills. And I touched on this in my OC recap when Heather had them at that etiquette lesson when they were in London. A lot of these women on the various cities, all they have is money. They don't have the etiquette or the class or the polish to really back it up. So you get a lot of women who are rich, but they're tacky. That's a very embarrassing statement to say that the food in Italy is too fresh and you don't like it and you don't want to stay there for that long. I would have kept that to myself. And also, Lisa, for you to have the money that you do, your palate is quite underdeveloped. I understand that we all enjoy some fast food every now and again, but your diet cannot consist of Chick-fil-A, Wendy's, In-N-Out, McDonald's, Burger King every single day. You need to have more than that. And what was it? I think it was in season 2 when Mary called you out for not eating vegetables. For you to be a rich woman, Lisa, there's some very tacky and lowbrow behaviors. Preferring processed food over fresh, delicious Italian food in Italy, that's mind-boggling. Let me get off of that. But yeah, that comment pissed me all the way off, and some things should not be said out loud. So now we see Bronwyn and Todd in a different section of their house, and they have a private jeweler over. So the jeweler sets out this gorgeous diamond necklace and these diamond studs. Now the diamond necklace was 170 carats and it's $4 million. And the diamond studs are 20 carats and they were 1.5 million. The first thing that popped in my head was Nene, bling, 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 bitches is mad.
Bling, 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 bitches is mad.
Now, was it just me, or was the jeweler a bit dry? But it obviously did not matter to Bronwyn or Todd, because it seems like they like the pieces, and it looks like Todd is about to whip out his black Amex and purchase both. Bronwyn was grinning from ear to ear, and I said, yeah, girl, I would be too. I know that's right. And the juxtaposition of Bronwyn and Todd looking at this fine jewelry while you have Angie and Sean playing volleyball, and I think the ball had gone into the lake. So you have Angie trying to fish the ball out the lake. She's making so much noise. I said, girl. So now we flip to Lisa, Meredith, and John by the pool. And John's asking Meredith where's Seth at. And Meredith says, oh, he's been working so much, he's probably on a call. So now Seth comes out with some drinks. And he says, Meredith, I have some bad news. So she's like, wait, what? Like, what's going on? So Seth says that he has to leave early tomorrow morning to get back to Columbus, Ohio because of, I guess, some meeting or whatever. And Meredith is pissed. She's like, no, that can wait. This is a couple's trip. I want you here. So Seth has all these excuses about how the flight to Ohio from Palm Springs is so long and how it's an all-day travel day and how he's going to have a layover in Minneapolis. He doesn't want that. And Meredith is livid. She says something's not adding up. And Seth's like, well, what's not adding up? And Meredith says, because I told you that this is an overnight trip and you've been gone the last 2 weeks, and now you want to leave early, and on top of that, you're going to be gone next week as well. So now Meredith is like, you know what, I need a minute, and then she goes on to say that this feels like Toronto all over again. So I saw on the after show, Meredith was saying that when they lived in Chicago, Seth had to keep going to Toronto for work, so they ended up moving to Toronto because it was too taxing on Seth to constantly be flying from Toronto to Chicago. So she's like, we've been here before with us having to pack up and move because of his schedule, and she's just tired of it. And now we cut right back to Meredith's confessional, and she says that seeing Seth leave early again feels like he's not trying to fix things. And then she says that we've had these same issues before, and it feels like a pattern. So now we see Seth in his confessional, and he says that Meredith has extremely high expectations for him, and sometimes he fails. For all my married subscribers, let me know down in the comments your thoughts. I want to hear from the experts. I can only assume that that's not great for a marriage where one spouse is always gone. I was wondering, what kind of marriage is this? Because if she's only seeing him once or twice out of the month, surely that can't be beneficial. It appears to me that Seth and Meredith have more than enough money where Seth does not have to go so hard. And I'm like, you don't want to spend time with your wife? I don't know. For Seth to act like Meredith is so demanding, I feel like that's deflecting. Because I think that that's normal for your spouse to want to spend time with you and see you. And yes, that's great that he's successful and he likes to work hard, but there has to be some balance. And hearing that it's been like this their entire marriage, I might have checked out and divorced him. And I had a dad who was successful. My dad was a lawyer. And growing up, my dad was always there. He made sure that he was always home. Were there times where he had a big case and he had to travel for work or he had to work late nights? Yes. But for the most part, my dad was there. He was always there at our recitals or my brother's basketball games. He always found the time. And he made sure that him and my mom had date nights. So I feel like you can be successful as a man and still find time to spend with your wife and your kids, just in my humble opinion. But I think that it's unacceptable that Seth is always gone. And I honestly feel like their marriage is hanging by a thread. And what does Seth do again? Why can't he get a job in Salt Lake City? Why does the job have to be states away in Ohio? That just sounds like a hot ass mess. Now, mind you, we see all the other ladies on the other side of the pool, and they're talking about how there's a clear divide between them and Meredith and Lisa. So now Whitney says, well, the reason why it's awkward between me and Lisa is because Lisa wants an apology from Justin, and we both feel like that's not happening. She's the one who owes him an apology. So now Angie comes up with an idea to bring out a bunch of Vita tequila shots for everybody as a way to break the ice and to have things be a bit normal among everybody. So Angie's plan has worked. Everybody's in better spirits. We see all the women together by the pool, and Meredith reveals that she's getting hearing aids. And now Angie jokes that she might be headed down the same road too. So as the ladies are actually getting along and talking and joking around, we see all the husbands on the other side of the pool, and they're just watching their wives. So Seth makes a joke and he says, you can always tell a straight man's success by how good his wife looks. And then he says that they all crushed it with their wives and how they definitely punched above their weight class. So now Todd makes a joke and says, well, if we're being honest, our wives also punched above their weight class too. Now I said, Todd, let's not do that, okay? You are not pulling Bronwyn off of your good looks and charm. So we jump right back over to the wives, and Lisa, here's where you messed up. Lisa brings up Heather, and she says, I'm having a great time. I just really feel bad that she's not with us. And now Whitney jumps in and says, well, Lisa, Bronwyn did try to move forward and repair things between her and Heather. So now Lisa jumps right back in and she says, well, that's not what I heard from Heather. I heard a completely different version. So now Whitney and Lisa go back and forth. And now Lisa says, honestly, I don't want to speak for Heather. Let Heather speak for herself. So Meredith interjects and she says, yeah, I agree. So now she says, I think we should check on Heather. So Lisa says, yeah, let's FaceTime her. And Meredith, let me just whack you too, because why would you suggest that? You know that Bronwyn and Heather are not cool. So Lisa FaceTimes Heather and she's like, hi Heather, how are you? We really wish that you were here right now. And she's panning the phone to everybody so they can say hi to her as well. Now mind you, Bronwyn is in the restroom. So when she comes back out, Lisa is still on the phone with Heather. So she's really irritated.
Why are we doing this right now? I don't know, because oh my gosh, we miss you. We wish you were here.
Have so much fun. It looks gorgeous.
And Lisa, when you got off that phone with Heather, I would have told you, pack your bags. You and John can leave. You're in my vacation rental that I'm paying for, and you have the audacity to FaceTime my op talking about you miss them and I wish you were here. Are you insane? I said, Lisa, you have a lot of gall. You were dead ass wrong to FaceTime Heather. And Meredith, shame on you for even telling her to do that. Are y'all okay? So Bronwyn is furious. She calls out Lisa immediately. She says, it's a bit weird that you're calling up Heather. So Lisa's like, well, no, I just did it because we all missed her. We all wanted to say hi. So Bronwyn's like, let me be clear. When I had Heather over at my house, I had every intention of fixing things so that she could come on this trip. It feels really shady for you to call her. So now Meredith jumps in to defend Lisa and she says, no, it wasn't shady. We just missed her. So Bronwyn's like, no, girl, I don't want to hear that. And also Lisa and Meredith, since when are you guys so close to Heather where you miss her? Please stop. So Bronwyn was truly in her bag. She says, listen, it's weird, and I find it a bit strange, Lisa, because you and I have been friends for years, and if somebody ever talked poorly about you, I would never sit there silently. I would come to your defense. So she points out how the other day when she went hiking with Angie and Whitney, she defended Lisa when they were talking about her. And I said, Bronwyn, please whack her again and bring out the receipts, because it's a one-sided loyalty with Lisa. Lisa wants you to have her back, but then when it's her turn to have your back, she's never there. So Lisa says that it's not that Heather was talking poorly about her. It was her listening to Heather explain her side. So now Bronwyn really gets pissed and she says, but Lisa, for you to assume that I would invite Heather over to my house to pick a fight with her and not invite her on this trip sounds crazy. So Lisa says, no, you're assuming that I said that. You're putting words in my mouth. And Bronwyn says, no, I'm not. So Bronwyn makes it very clear that if somebody came to her talking badly about Lisa, she would defend Lisa in a heartbeat. She says, again, I would stick up for you and say, no, that's not the Lisa that I know. But unfortunately, when it comes to me, you don't do the same thing. So Bronwyn starts giving examples of all the times that Lisa has failed her as a friend. And she says, when Brittany yelled at me, you didn't come to my defense. You didn't even ask me if I was okay. So Lisa says, thank you so much for inviting me on this trip. I'm happy to be here. But I also checked in on a friend who's not here. Is that okay? So Bronwyn's like, look, Lisa, you didn't think that it was smart to check in with me before you got on this trip? So as they're going back and forth, Lisa brings up how Bronwyn didn't check on her when she and Whitney got into it at Angie's house. So Bronwyn says, girl, not so fast, because I surely did. And production played those tapes back, and we see that when Lisa was crying, Bronwyn did walk over and check on her. And I said, again, Lisa, just be honest. You're too self-centered to be a real friend to anybody. It's all about you and your feelings. When somebody else is hurt, you're not there for them. It is what it is. And Lisa loves doing that. Anytime she's called out, she tries to counter it with what you did to her. And it's like, girl, can you stop doing that? Can you ever just take ownership? Now, Todd might be a bit dry, but the way he had his eye out to defend his wife, he was like, oh no, I don't like this. I hear yelling. He swims over to the women and he says, hey guys, let's just call Heather then. I don't like all this. So Angie says, Todd, we already did that. That's why we're fighting now. So now Lisa walks over to Bronwyn and she says, look, I just want us to talk one-on-one without the crowd. So Bronwyn says, Heather has been calling me two-faced, telling the group that I'm untrustworthy, when the whole time I've been trying to apologize to her and make amends. The difference between me and Heather is that she's shit-talking me while I'm actually trying to fix things. And instead of Lisa just hearing her friend out, Lisa's like, look, I don't want any parts of this mess. I said, really, Lisa? You can't understand what Bronwyn is saying to you? How are you not seeing that Heather is the one stirring up all the mess? Are you that blinded by Heather's lies? I'm not understanding it. So Bronwyn is irate, she calls out the double standards, and now she walks off. And one thing about it, Bronwyn is one of the best readers on this cast, because when she turned back around, she said, when it's me, it's my responsibility to work things out, but when it's you, I better ride your dick like it's my job. I said, whack her again. Lisa was sitting there gagged.
I'm just scoot on over and let you whack him. Get him again. Get him for me.
And what really pissed me off was Lisa saying, well, I'm not the one in the wrong. I did nothing wrong, okay? Everybody actually owes me an apology. And I said, Lisa, what world are you living in? It's not always about you. Sometimes you do F up, and that's okay. Why can't you just own it? Why can't you hear Bronwyn out? What's so hard about that? So Bronwyn's back in the house. We see Whitney come in to check on her, and Bronwyn's venting her frustrations. She says, I'm just pissed because I'm there for Lisa when she needs me, but when I need her, she's nowhere to be found. And then she goes on to say that right now, Lisa is blindly loyal to Heather right now, and how Lisa is actually a big part of the drama that she has going on with her family. And we all know that Lisa is good friends with Bronwyn's deadbeat baby's father's family, who abandoned Bronwyn's daughter Gwen, and she's still defending them. I don't know why, but she's pissed about that, and I would be pissed too. But Bronwyn says that with that drama going on, Lisa has not called to check on her once. So as she's still venting to Whitney, her husband Todd walks in, and Whitney's like, I'm gonna leave you guys alone. I'm gonna be outside. So Todd is not having any of it. Todd says, look, I already told you that I'm not doing this with any of these people. I said, well, damn. Then he goes on to say, especially her. I said, oh, he has it out for Lisa. I said, all right. I said, one thing about it, Todd said, you will not come for me or my wife, and there is no drama allowed. And listen, I understand it. When you're paying $20,000 a night to host everybody at your fabulous vacation rental, I don't want any drama either. And you better not come for my spouse as well. So Todd basically gives Bronwyn an ultimatum. He says, look, it's either I leave or they leave. I said, oh wow, Todd is not playing. And Todd was truly in his bag because the pettiness jumped out. He says, look, Lisa and John can leave. We can send them some money, get them a car service, and send them on their way. So Bronwyn says that Todd can be an asshole sometimes, but right now, he's her knight in shining asshole. So Todd is the definition of standing on business. He walks right back outside and he approaches John. And I'm not gonna hold you, but when Todd walked up to John, it felt very much like a father letting his son have it. So Todd says, look, dude, this bullshit between your wife and Bronwyn is out of control. Let your wife know that if she can't get it together, then you guys can both leave. So John's like, all right, okay, I'll go and tell Lisa. And I thought it was funny because John's demeanor was a lot different than it was with him and Justin. I sort of got the impression that John was low-key afraid of Todd. But either way, John did not want any smoke with Todd. He goes to find Lisa and he's like, hey Lisa, I just spoke to Todd, he's fed up, and he pretty much told us that if you can't get it together, then we both can leave. And now we see a to be continued flash on our screens. And when I tell y'all, I was screaming. I saw some people say that Todd was doing too much and how he was rude. But no, I understand how he feels. If you're shelling out top dollar to have a fun vacation that you're paying for, you want everybody there to be in harmony with each other and have some fun. Nobody wants to spend all this money to have a bad time. And especially with the fact that this is his wife going at it with somebody else. I kicked them out too. I didn't feel any way about Todd going up to John and saying, hey, if you guys can't get it together, then you can leave. It is what it is. Lisa was wrong to call up Heather and then defend her actions. And let's not forget, Todd is a very busy man. His free time seems to be limited. So when he is away, he's not trying to deal with any strife or chaos. He wants a nice, calm, leisurely vacation. I was on Todd's side. Either get right or get left. SOC is that girl, hands down. And if you're not watching, what are you doing? Because this is quality entertainment. But y'all, that was my recap. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you for listening on the podcast. And you already know what to do. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you all later. Bye.